But enough background information regarding Solaris. Let's taste some wines. I think that is a good starting point, and I would like to show you with the lineup here today the diversity and high quality that Solaris can deliver. We are starting with a sparkling wine, traditional method, but before diving into the wine itself, is it possible to make high-level sparkling wine of those varieties? And before we go to the Danish producer Guldbæk wine, where I have an example here, I would like to give you one reference point that it's kind of interesting to rethink that question. Because if you look at the most northern vineyard in Germany, which is located on the island of Sylt, allegedly, then they are growing Solaris there. And then there is a very famous German VDP producer, Balthasar Ress actually, from Rheingau, using those grape varieties to create a high-level sparkling wine. Based on traditional method, the Söl Ring Solaris Extra Brut, coming in a very nice, as you can see, like a metal box here, like a whiskey bottle. And it is kind of experience I can definitely recommend in itself. We are not tasting it here today, simply for the reason that Balthasar Ress is not part of the Cool Climate Wine Summit in 2025. Let's hope they come in 2026 and would like to present this wine. But as we only taste wines from our producers in this podcast, to feature the podcast topics, we are going to Denmark instead. And I want to introduce you to a sparkling wine by Guldbæk Vingård, which is located pretty much in the north. And if I say pretty much in the north, then I mean even for Danish standards, we are in the north. So we are on the island of Jutland, which basically is the main island of Denmark, the part of Denmark that is actually not an island, but a huge half island connected to Germany. And there, when we drive through Jutland, we come first to the city of Aarhus, Denmark's second largest city, and then a little bit further we come to the city of Aalborg. And there, around about 20 minutes south of Aalborg, we find a small city called Guldbæk. And here we find Guldbæk Vingård, where Kim Trysse with his family is since 2008 let's say improving their ambitions. So like most Danish wine producers, they started at some point of time experimenting, planting some wines, then planting some more, learning, getting some help. They got, for example, help from French and German winemakers to really like speed up their game. And today, Kim and his family are among, I would say, the absolute top producers that we have in Denmark. And therefore, I'm also like especially like grateful that he's joining us together with 9 other like high quality Danish wine producers at the Cool Climate Wine Summit. So today they have about 4 hectares and between 4 and 5 and 15,000 wines. So you can very quickly see they are somewhere around these 3,000 wines per hectare, which is of course a very, very low density of planting wines compared to like these massive areas like say in New Zealand where we have 10,000 wines per hectare naturally. And this basically tells us the story of Denmark. So at 56 degrees north, we have, especially in spring, but also like in autumn, the problem that the sun is so low, even like on the peak of day, that basically if the rows of wines would be closer to each other than they are, the shadow they are casting would actually really disturb the development phase of the grape. So we have to plant the rows of wines very far apart from each other in order to ensure that even with this very, very low degree of the sun in autumn, the ripening is not disturbed. So super interesting, like small terroir study, especially when we are in Denmark. We will do like a podcast about this a little bit later on. Like in Sweden, it's all about micro terroir. So for Kim, the situation at Guldbæk Vingård is that on the west side, they have this like massive like lake chain, the Limfjorden, which so to say gives a kind of moderating effect from the west side. And then on the right side, they have basically the Kattegat, which is this kind of connection of the Baltic Sea to the Atlantic Ocean. And this basically is a very, very narrow, like small little waterway, which basically also allows for some moderating effects from the right side. And yeah, let's dive into it.